Hello, welcome back to this After Effects tutorial series. Now, I actually made a mistake in the last episode, so if you have watched it, I've probably put some annotations on to say, this is wrong, do it differently, watch this episode. So, with the trim paths, I said just rotate it, right? Now, that's going to mess it all up. That's not a good thing to do. So, delete outlines 2, okay? Just have outlines 1. And I also did some animating as well off screen, so let's delete, get rid of those, and I'll get back to that in a minute. So, we have this rectangle thing that's animating like that. Now, we are going to duplicate it, but instead of just moving it all around, I'm going to change the trim paths, and this is really obvious. This is I should have just done this straight away. This is going to be 100%. This one's going to be 100%. And then these two are going to be 50. Okay? That's how it should have been. You didn't need to rotate it, right? You can just do it like that way. Because what happened when you rotated it is that it wasn't rotating in exactly the right place, and it was like moving it all around, and it doesn't make sense. If you do it that way, you don't even need to rotate it, and I just completely forgot about that because I had a brain fart. So there we go. It should look like that, and it means that when you scale it, you probably realised if you did it the way before, the trim paths were moving in different places. The top one was shifted over, so it started here, and it just looked silly. This works properly now. So do it that way, okay? I apologise for the previous video. There we go. It should look like that. Now, what about this thing? I made it this is now animated. How did we get there? Okay, let's undo that. Let's go backwards a little bit. So I'm going to delete that, and we have no track. Right. This is what we had before. Okay, that looks great. What we're going to do is we're going to take this name box. We're going to duplicate it because we want to. And we're going to use this one on top. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the contents of this one. We're going to go on the fill, and we're going to get rid of that expression. Okay, we don't need that anymore. I'm going to just make it a bright green, like a chroma key green. Great. Cool. Now, name box 2, we're going to rename to name box matte. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press S for the scale. I'm going to unlink it. And this second value here, I'm going to scale to about 120, just so it's a little bit bigger. And I'm also going to move the whole thing up a little bit and to the left a little bit, about that much. Okay, and then I'm going to go to where I want it to start animating, which is going to be about here. Okay, it's already moved in a little bit. So I'm going to click there. Okay, so the outlines, the trim paths have started animating. Then this box is going to animate, and then it's all going to finish together. So about here, I'm going to click another keyframe, and we want it to be about 105%. Okay? Great. Go back to the first one. We're going to change that to be 0. Okay? So now we have nothing, and then this box grows like that. And it also grows depending on how long the word is. So if it was a short word... Oh, I can't spell short. If it was a short word, let's turn on the text. There we go. A short word, this box is a short box. And if it's a long word, long, 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 then it's a longer box. And it still animates in the same sort of way. It's not very smooth. In fact, let's just grab both of those, do F9, and then go to the graph editor. And I'm going to select these, and I'm going to pull this that way a little bit. Okay. In fact, we'll pull both. I don't know what the other one was. And it's going to make it smoother towards the end of the animation. So let's watch that again, smoother. There we go. Oh, it's quite quick, actually. So let's drag both of these out, maybe to about there. Yeah, that looks nice. Does it go smoothly? Yeah, that looks good. Now what's going to happen is this name box... The reason we've called this matte is we're going to use track matting. So the name box that we originally had, the orange one, the one that's taking the colour from here. Let's just double check that it still is taking the colour from there. Yep, it's still taking the colour. Now, that one, we're going to go to track matte, and if you don't know where track matte is, just do toggle switches until you find it. Track matte, and we're going to go on alpha matte, and it says name box matte. And what it's doing is it's looking at the layer above, and wherever it sees solid on that layer, it will be solid on the layer below, on the layer itself. Okay? So that animation that we did has done a nice thing where it sort of animates the box like that. Now we want to do the same thing with the text. We don't want the text to start on, because that just looks silly. This is the point of a lower third. You want it to all animate in. So we're going to duplicate name box matte. We're going to bring it above the text, and we're going to rename it to text matte. Okay? And now this text, we can do the same. Great, that looks good now. Okay, I figured it out. So what we want is, we want the name box, we want this text, and we want a name box matte. Okay? Now, the name box is going to have the text above it. Okay, and it's going to be alpha inverted. So it's going to cut it out like that. The text is going to have no track matte. Okay, it's going to be as it is. And then what we want to do is select both of these. In fact, we want to duplicate the text and put the text on top. We're then going to select both of these. We're going to right click and do pre-compose. Okay, and we're going to call it name text. That'll be fine. Okay, name text. Oh, and now it's, screwed up again. So we just need to go into the name text, and we need to make sure that the name box is doing the right thing. Contents, rectangle path. So the size is now messed up. So what's it doing? Name text is not a thing. Name field. Ah, yes, because the text isn't in the name field. It should be. Name field. Ah, so let's just rename that to text, and it should fix it. There we go. Great. So that's good. We're going to turn on the text again, and we're going to go to the transparency and reduce it down. Okay, like 33% is nice. Okay, cool. Now what we're going to do is we've got the name text as a pre-composition, and above it we've got the name box matte. Okay, and we're going to do alpha matte. Okay, and we're going to copy that matte, and on top of the text we're going to do this text matte, and this text is going to have an alpha matte as well. Great. Now the whole thing will animate in like that. There we go. So now great. That looks really good. That looks great. Let's have it stay on screen a bit longer. So animates in and stays on. Amazing. Let's put it over a solid background and let's see how it looks. Fantastic. It looks bloody great. Now, I've just realised what I actually did on the original is that I didn't have the blue background. I actually had a grey background and the text was a different colour. So let's try and work that out in the next episode. I'm sorry that this was a bit of a mess. It took me a while to figure out the things that I'd done wrong. But I promise the next episode will be a lot cleaner. I hope.